Welcome to Oil Tech Pro, your learning hub on everything oil and gas. Today we'll be looking at the various types of gas plants. Before we get right into that, we need to understand what is a natural gas. Natural gas is the gaseous composition of the hydrocarbon, chiefly composed of methane, which is C1, and ethane, C2, the propane C3, butane, the C4 usually could be normal butane or isobutane. The pentane C5 could be normal pentane or isopentane, and this hexane plus the C6 plus, right? So when we have this composition with methane almost comprising of 79 to close to 90 something percent of our natural gas, when we are looking at the various types of gas plants. Now, if that gas plant is concentrating on the separation of this natural gas with only the other ends outside of the methane, removing methane and having the other ends, which is the ethane, the propane, the butane, the propentane, and the hexane plus, we call that the natural gas liquids. The natural gas liquids comprises of ethane, the propane, butane, pentane, and hexane plus. Okay, those are the both the gaseous and the liquid part of the natural gas. Now, if you have that end, okay, with methane off the chain, and then we are looking at harnessing those natural gas liquids into for various industrial uses and purposes, we call that gas plant an NGL gas plant, which means natural gas liquid gas plant. Okay, and when you flow your natural gas liquids into that gas plant using other separation techniques, you can decide to separate off the other ends, the ethane, the propane, the butane, and what have you, for various industrial uses. Okay, so we now come to another type of gas plant which concentrates itself on the propane and the butane. When we have the propane and the butane being the center of interest of that gas plant for various industrial uses and industrial purposes, okay, through our different techniques which we can use to manipulate the system, and we get out our propane and butane, we call such a gas plant an LPG gas plant, because that is the liquefied petroleum gas, the propane and the butane, if we are concentrating on just those two um, those two compositions of the natural gas, we call that gas plant an LPG gas plant. All right. That brings us to number three type of gas plant. Now recall, we have separated the methane from the natural gas liquids, which is the ethane and the others. Now, what do we do with the methane? What we do with the methane determines the type of another type of gas plant. Now, if we get this methane and using cryogenic processes, we um, lower the temperature up to minus 160 degrees. Okay, anything from minus 50 degrees is cryogenic process. Okay, and so when we lower it down to 160 degrees, subjecting the natural gas to a temperature of that 160 degrees, it will liquefy at that particular temperature, and when it liquefies, we call it an LNG, liquefied natural gas, LNG. And that plant, the entire process is called an LNG plant, an LNG plant. All right. Why do we liquefy our natural gas? We liquefy it if we want to transport for long distances, okay? Because we know how volatile it is for methane, and because it's a very volatile gas. And so when you liquefy it, it behaves almost like a liquid, and it can be stored at a very good condition in the vessels and transported to long distances for various industrial purposes. When it gets to its end user, they can re generate the methane back to its original form for direct use. Now, we can also decide not to liquefy the methane or the natural gas, and we decide to compress it, by lowering its pressure. And when we do that compression, we will have what we call a compressed natural gas. A compressed natural gas. In this time, we don't use it for long distances, but we use it for intermediate or short distance transport of our natural gas. Maybe from the production center, we process it in our gas plant and we send it to a petrochemical plant or for direct use. In such a scenario, we call that particular gas plant a CNG gas plant. We see a lot of CNG gas plants currently because of our desire to move